Carl's on the show today, and we're going to figure out a Microbe Life feeding regimen. Hey there, Bob from Oregon's Constant Gardener. Welcome to the OCG Fam Show to you, my YouTube buddies. What's going on? Let me know in the comments. Let's talk about it. It'll be fun. Here's the show. We had this question a few days ago. Basically, what it came down to was, I'm using Nectar, but I'm also using a lot of this other stuff. How the heck does it all fit together? And that's what we're figuring out. A unified, comprehensive feeding regimen for Nectar for the Gods, but also if you're using Blacksmith or Cultured or SLF100 full on all that stuff. So what we've been doing to start that out is we're doing an interview with the principal from each of these companies about how their product works and about how it works with other products. Once we got that base information, then from there, what we're going to do is build that chart and then start working on how to modulate that chart based on what we're doing for performance. What we're talking about here is someone who's growing 4 plants, maybe 6, looking for the absolute optimum results, the best they can do. What do they do? How do they make that happen? And so today, Microbe Life. Carl's on the show. Carl from Microbe Life. I talked to him the other day. Did an interview with him about how all this stuff fits together and how it fits together with all this other stuff. So watch the interview, and I'll talk to you after. Carl!
Hello, Bob.
I was just talking to Rob when you tried to call me twice on my phone.
Well, I figured you had your priorities right.
Well, I was online and the phone rang, and I just I pushed cancel, and then damn if it didn't ring again. It really screwed up the video, but that's all right. That's all right. So, Carl, I want to talk to you. I know you want to talk to me about dechlorinator. Here, I'm going to get all your stuff on. You know what I'm doing with the show now? I'm just going for it. I'm just doing one after the other. We're going crazy with this thing. So I'm putting all your stuff out here on the camera. People are like watching right now, watching me do this thing. And what is he doing?
No rehearsal or nothing?
No rehearsal or nothing, Carl. So I know you want to talk about dechlorinator, and we're going to talk about dechlorinator in another video. I want to talk to you about this thing because I just talked to Rob. We're talking about how you do everything all at once. If you're using, so hold on a second. We had a question, and he's using he got him a sample kit, but he's also adding Kraken, Megamorpheus, Hygieia Hydration, Photo Plus, SLF100 and full on, and cultured biologics. All this stuff together. So what I'm looking for from you is to tell me the Microbe Life portion of that component. So let's just say we got someone, they're using Nectar, and they're going feed, feed, tea, feed, feed, flush. So there's no water days. We're feeding the whole way through. There's no time when you have a empty spot to put a feed into. When would you do the Microbe Life? Would you do that on your tea day?
Well, first off, Bob, all the lines that you've mentioned are in a category of their own and do phenomenal things for the soil and the plant. I think you well know. Microbe Life, remember, and we get this question a lot, people, not to confuse them, Microbe Life is not a nutrient,
right?
But it assists in nutrient uptake. Besides a variety of other things, besides, our mycorrhiza, our 2 photosynthetic strains that assist with photosynthesis. So we do a lot of things all at once. But in answer to your question, Microbe Life, since, I just kind of did the segue here, microbial.
Right, yeah.
Biology in this product. No chemical synthetics or polymers whatsoever, no man-made material, if you will. So it's every bit looked at as a supercharged tea, if you will.
Okay.
I mean, you could run our gear standalone as a tea, where we complement cultured, or cultured complements us.
Okay.
Is, at the end of that brew cycle with culture, depending on how you're using it, the last 20 minutes, and this is key, 20 minutes, not a whole cycle.
Right.
And reason being, Bob, is we're dealing with a majority of vegetative bacteria, photosynthesis in particular. And if you ran it through a long brew cycle, you would tend to burn off some of our beneficials.
Okay. So if I'm using my cultured instant, I'd throw this in, I'd mix my cultured, mix this in, and go. If I'm brewing up my cultured, then I would wait until the very end, but not the second before, 10, 20 minutes before I would throw it in there and let that kind of bubble a little more, then take that and put that into the tea.
Perfect. You nailed it.
Okay.
You know, we're like adding a probiotic to that cultured mix is what we're doing.
Now, let me ask you this. What do you think about the concept of you take both the cultured and the Microbe Life and mix them together versus this tea, I'm doing Microbe Life. Next tea, I'm doing cultured. Differences between those two approaches?
Well, absolutely not, Bob, because, you know, cultured has done such a great job with their design work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody in this industry wants to push their plants, as we well know. You know, nobody wants to minimalize. Well, I shouldn't say nobody. You know, mom and grandma that just want to do this little novel plant to grow is one thing.
Right,
But a lot of people that are very serious about their gardening,
mm-hmm.
you know, they're very dialed into their plants, what the plant's like. And you know as well as I do, they always want to push them.
Right.
How much they'll take, how well they'll perform.
Yeah.
By alternating, which actually, Bob, is the perfect recipe. You could alternate, you know, every other feeding, cultured versus Microbe Life. Because as you know, we have quite a consortium with Microbe Life, just in our 4 core products today. You're not taking away value by mixing the two either, if that makes sense. But
I gotcha.
Huge success both ways.
Okay. So I guess just to clarify what we're talking about here is, you know, we got some people that have huge greenhouses, and there becomes economic issues of pushing too hard where it just doesn't make sense. But what we're talking about here is someone's got 4, 5, 6 plants that's really looking for pride of ownership of growing it and also of a strong yield from a small crop, where it makes sense to push all of these things to the natural limits of them.
Absolutely, Bob. Yeah.
So, in that vein, I'm going to be doing the cultured tea, and I'm going to be doing the Microbe Life, either together or alternating them. But Microbe Life, the Photo Plus, is not the only product in the line. You got the 4 other products: the Root Dip, the Vegetable and Fruit Enhancer. I always mess up the thing. Vegetable and Fruit Yield Enhancer, and the Nourish C. So, if you were to say, heck, I'm going to use all 4, what point in the life cycle of the plant would you use each particular one? Would you be using all 4 of them the whole time, or would you be mixing those up? Obviously, the Root Dip you'd probably be using earlier in the cycle, but can you walk me through how I would use all 4 of those together, or if I would just use one of them?
And I can. I'll give you the dumbed-down Reader's Digest version,
okay,
if you will. But also, Bob, for your viewers, I will send you a feed chart.
Okay.
That Scott Burke created over a year ago. That's pretty universal.
Okay.
Regimen and how to use Microbe Life products. But again, you know, you're going to have a good percentage of your growers that use it in a different application that what works for them depending on what they're feeding with.
Okay.
But to break it down real briefly and quickly, Bob, you know, from seed germination, you know, up into your clone machine, your cuttings, your transplants, that early start of the life of the plant.
Right.
The focus for you, first and foremost, is the root dip.
Right.
And then you could add that beneficial photo with it. Now remember, the root dip is doing what? We did a video, you know, just recently on that. And it's focusing on the early growth of the plant. The root structure, you know, there's no growth hormone involved. It also has a small composite of photosynthesis plus in it.
Okay.
You know, so you're getting a lot of bang for your buck, you know, out of that root dip. Besides the variety of bacillus bacterias. A lot of people will soak their seeds in that to germinate.
Okay.
Now, once you get your little infancy starts, your little babies, you're still running the root dip, and now you're adding photosynthesis. And we're doing this once a week, okay? Inoculation, as everybody knows, is 5 milliliters to a gallon. You're using it as a foliar, using it as a soil drench, or you're using it in your hydroponic setup.
Okay.
Okay, and people use this in aquaponics as well.
Okay.
You know, with the plants and stuff they grow in the environment. Okay. So after week 5, Bob, where really your plan is established, during the root cell phase, you can literally take our root dip and shelf it.
Okay.
It's done its job after week. You no longer need to use it.
Okay.
At all. You really don't. Now remember, all our products, even the root dip, after you open it, you have a 1-year shelf life.
Okay.
Typically, growers will buy the size of bottles that they're going to go through versus wasting a very large bottle, opening it, and letting half of it sit through the next year.
Sure. Okay.
That's why we do the 16 ounce, 32 ounce, and up. Okay?
Okay.
So after week 5, and let me back up a little bit. After you get into the first 2 weeks and that plant starts to establish itself, our Nourish Out is a key component because this is all about the soil. We're dealing with 72 earth elements in that. That's our humic with 6% fulvic. So it's 100% water soluble.
Okay.
Now, this is the one out of the 4 products you're never going to foliar feed. Because of the concentration, you would burn the leaf structure.
Okay.
I mean, you could dumb it down and dilute it quite a bit to avoid that. But
why would you?
Just as a soil drench.
Okay.
And we tell people every 12 days to 2 weeks, inoculating the soil.
Okay.
And you're just enhancing that soil web with all the right beneficials. It's a beautiful thing. People in this industry love humic. There's a variety of great humics out there. You and I have talked about this, Bob. It's kind of like an auto parts store. Pick your brand and what you want to use and why you use it.
Sure.
Okay, so after week 2, you can basically use that Nourish all the way up to harvest if you so desire. Okay? Now, continuing on, after that first couple of weeks of starting your plants, Photosynthesis Plus is our flagship product.
Right,
It's all about enhancing photosynthesis. It's all about increasing the nutrient cycling, no matter what you're feeding your plant.
Okay.
Supercharging your soil with dry amendments, it doesn't matter. That's your best friend in your vegetative growth. And you're going aggressively every week all the way up to flower. That's the focus with photo, really from beginning to flower.
Okay, so beginning before the root dip, would you use the root dip instead of it until you're done with the root dip after your first 5 weeks, or would you be using Photo Plus all the way through? Together. Okay, so Photo Plus all the way through day 1 to cutting it down. To flower.
Now, once you get into flower, you're backing off on photo. Why are we backing off on photo? Remember, the big focus on that is helping not only the plant health, the nutrient uptake, supercharging that vegetative cycle, which is doing very well, as people around the country can confirm that. It's doing its job.
Okay.
Once you get into the start of flower and your bud set, Bob, the majority, probably 80% of the people applying photosynthesis are backing off to maybe every couple to 3 weeks. You still need some nitrogen. That's cut way back, probably every 3 weeks or so.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay. All right.
But now, to preface, once we're into flower and bud set, that vegetable fruit enhancer says what it is. Is basically now we're starting to fruit. And, I use this stuff as so many organic growers do religiously in their organic vegetable gardens. So once the tomatoes, the melons, no matter what the plant is that starts to fruit, our vegetable fruit enhancer is now a great inoculant for that.
Okay.
You can also soil drench and foliar with that up to a couple times a week if you so desire.
Okay.
And you can kick it up to 15 mils per gallon also. 3 teaspoons per gallon if you want. And people religious foliar this and love it and soil drench at the same time.
So I think a lot of people are going to be concerned about doing foliar when they got flowers and having a rot situation.
Well, and here's always the conversation about the right temperature, the right airflow. Now there's 2 differences. You basically play God in the indoors because elements of the environment are the same every day until you decide to change it.
Right.
Outdoor, it's a little different.
Sure.
But again, like today, there's a good breeze. I'll foliar my plants today. We're going to have a good temperature coming into the afternoon. Everything's going to be evaporated. Remember also with the plant, as far as a foliar or a soil drench, we're a systemic product, which means we totally absorb into that plant tissue.
Okay.
And within an hour, we're there. We're in it.
Okay.
We're just not a contact form.
I got you. So
going into that whole circulatory system of the plant, if you will.
So you, Carl, feel comfortable right till the end foliaring, but certainly wouldn't knock anyone who was nervous about doing that.
No, because religiously you have growers that believe certain things for certain reasons. Don't disrupt that. Let them continue to go with that, because you can still soil drench your Bob.
Well, and they're a product of their environment. They may be in an environment where it's not healthy to do that thing. So you can't judge what they're doing. But you personally, you feel like that you're pretty cool with doing that. So now I think we've covered every product, but the did we talk about Nourish? I don't think we talked about Nourish. Or we did talk about Nourish. I'm confused. Let's just go into Nourish and Vegetable now, so that I know where I'm at, and hopefully everyone else does. The difference between those two and the times you use those two.
Well, focus on Nourish as a humic.
Okay.
Every couple weeks.
So it's you need enough, but not too much doesn't help. More is not better.
No.
Okay. So
that's a little side staple for your soil.
Okay. So then let's talk enhancer. What's the time cycle on the enhancer? It's in flower.
From the time you start to flower. All the way up to harvest or flush.
Okay.
You know, why I say that harvest or flush, Bob, we're dealing with microbes. A lot of people focus on the microbes of ecological as helping complete the digestive cycle.
Okay.
Depending on what you're feeding it. And it's going to enhance flavor and production, flower production.
Sure. Okay.
So you have both sides of this, and I meet them all the time in my travel. I have guys that religiously run this along SLF 100 all the way to harvest. You know, it's flushing and increasing uptake and continuing, that digestive process for the food right at the end of the cycle. Where a lot of people, the last maybe 20, 10, however many days, are just straight shotting water into the plant to keep everything cleaned out. Then you have those other growers that religiously, myself and other friends included, are running that SLF 100 every week all the way to the end. And many run, the Microbe Life right alongside of that with no complaints.
Okay. So let me recap then a little bit here. Photo Plus all the way through.
Pretty much.
Root Dip, first 5 weeks.
Yep.
Enhancer, that's the one I'm not sure on. From day 1 till flower, or from 5 weeks till flower?
Vegetable fruit enhancer, Bob?
Yes. That's when I get into flower.
This is what I want you to tattoo on your forehead.
I'm ready.
Flower.
The enhancer's for the flower, the whole flower cycle. And the Nourish is once in a while for my humics and fulvics.
Every couple weeks.
Okay.
Beginning then.
All right. Now,
I have a feeding chart that I'll send you if you want to send that to your viewers. It's going to be beneficial to a lot of them.
Yes. I want to do that. You know what else I want to do? I'm going to try to actually build a feeding chart with everything on it. Everything on it. Because I think it's a little confusing here, and we're going to try to work through it, because I know I'm confused. But let me ask you this. So it sounds like that so with your Photo Plus, when you're doing a feed, tea, feed, flush, would you do it every 6 days on that tea day? That's the only time you do it, or would you do it more often? We're talking the root drench, not the foliar.
Once a week.
Once a week? Okay. So you do it as part on that tea day. You would add that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then your Nourish is every couple weeks. Your Nourish every couple weeks. Yep. Your Root Dip, would you do that on your tea day with your with your Plus on the first 5 weeks?
Absolutely, you could.
So the first 5 weeks, you would on your tea day do Root Dip and Photo Plus.
Yep.
And you would do your Nourish. So there would be 1 week of the every other weeks when you would be doing the Root Dip, the Plus, and the Nourish. Those would work together on my tea day?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then when I got into flower, I'm dropping my Root Dip, obviously. I've dropped that a while back, and I'm doing my tea day would be with my enhancer. Would that be every week along with my Photo Plus?
Well, remember, Bob, when we're in the flower, we're backing way off in Photo Plus.
Okay. So that's when we start. Are we backing all the way off and just doing the enhancer?
Some growers like to pop it on once a month, every 3 weeks or so, just to give a new little nitrogen surge.
Okay.
So the leaves, keep everything going.
All right. So I'm
You
doing.
still need nitrogen, Bob.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, but just not the heavy amounts that you need typically.
Right. Okay. Let me give it one more try then. The first 5 weeks, every tea day I do Root Dip and Photo Plus. Then every other week I add the Nourish to that. Once I get to flower, I would back off my Photo Plus to like every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks, every 3 weeks, something like that. And would I do my enhancer every tea day?
Yep.
Okay. How hard was that, Carl? We got it figured out. You got it through my thick melon.
Yeah, it really wasn't too hard, Bob.
It seemed like it felt hard to me.
I know, Bob.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you this. Of the things we spoke about, the full-on, the SLF 100, cultured, maybe even some blacksmith stuff, all the stuff we're talking about, the Nectar, is there anything you wouldn't want to mix the Photo Plus with?
No, and here's why.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're unique, and I'll say it this way: we play well in the playground with everybody.
Okay. So here's what we're going to do, Carl. I'm going to talk to everybody else. We're going to get a feeding schedule together. You know what I think we're going to do? I think I'm just going to focus on the root drench. We're going to get a schedule built for that. Then we're going to talk about the foliar feeding. Then when we get those two things set, then we're going to talk about how you would modulate your use of all these products based on what you're seeing in your garden. And pretty soon, 3-4 weeks out, we'll have built something here. We'll have something good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there, Carl. That's it. That's all I needed. I appreciate you. I appreciate you getting it through my head. I feel smarter, Carl.
You're a smart man, Bob. You're running a great YouTube channel.
Well, thank you. So here's the hard part, Carl. This is the hardest part of the whole thing. We're gonna have to say goodbye and just be quiet and just look at the camera. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Bob. I love you.
I love you too. See, we did it. Oh, I messed up. All right, we got it. Okay, that was fun. Sure appreciate Carl doing that for us. We're getting there. We got Carl. We got Rob the other day. I think we'll probably have Culture Biologics, maybe Newton from SLF 100. Someone on the show tomorrow. We're going to keep going through these. Once we've got everybody on record as to how their stuff works, then we'll start working on building that feeding chart. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you're enjoying this. I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. For more information about anything on today's show, go to our website, OCGFAM301. And if you buy anything while you're there, use the code OCGFAMShow. It's going to save you 20%, and it's a lot of fun. The OCG Fam Show, it's pretty good. It happens every day. It's the OCG Fam Show. See you tomorrow.